Good afternoon and welcome into the 50-yard line, a Tennessee football preview here. And we are in week 6 of high school football in West Tennessee. And we're going to be running down a few games here tonight with the Real Weeks and Dr. Josh Greer. And I'll introduce those guys in just a second. Then we're going to talk about some college football, Tennessee at Mississippi State, Memphis at Florida Atlantic, and then we'll wrap things up with the Titans. And boy, do we have some things to talk about with the Titans. But let's welcome in our co-host here for the 50-yard line, and that's Stephen Weeks of the Real Weeks on all his socials. Good evening, Stephen. How you doing?
Doing good. You can also follow me on Tennessee or TN Gridiron Blitz too. So we're uh, we're everywhere.
And when he says everywhere, he means everywhere. Dr. Josh Greer of Nilvana Sports. Check him out at his socials there is on the screen, as well as Nilvana Sports. Dr. Greer, welcome in tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk about some high school, pro, and college football.
Most definitely. Tennessee football right here at its best, and let's get right into it. We've got a list of games we're going to talk about. You guys have that list in front of you, but let's kick it off with private school action right here in West Tennessee. As Jackson Christian School, they are hot. They finished the season hot last year, but they take on Tipton Rosemark. What do you guys think? And Stephen, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think about that game?
JCS is. JCS is probably the big favorite here. Outside of anything on Tipton Rosemark, you're going to have to stop Nick's Fullen, who's averaging, I think, around 200 yards per game. I think he's got 15 total touchdowns. But other than that, JCS should be a huge favorite here. Kelsey Rose coming off the edge, Deuce Lawrence, who can do anything for that team. I just fully expect the JCS to dominate this. Not looking forward though to hopefully they're not looking forward to that TCA game next week.
Yeah, that's something that you got to be careful of with looking ahead, right? Because you don't want to take a team for granted like Tipton Rosemark. They're 3-2 on the season, and so very easily could you flub up and take that on. They're playing a Fayette Academy next week, so they're really not looking forward to it. This may be their Super Bowl right here. Dr. Greer, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, no, I agree. JCS definitely a favorite, but Tipton Rosemark's averaging over 40 points a game. JCS is only giving up about 9 points a game if you look at their averages. So it will be interesting to kind of see the offense versus the defense, but JCS should have this one.
Yeah, I think so. The next game we'll look at here is Crockett at Northside, and to me, Northside's an anomaly. I picked them, they lose. I don't pick them, they win. But this is a game in that region, Region 7 there, that is probably playoff potential rematch between these two teams somewhere down the line. Crockett County versus Northside. Dr. Greer, what do you got in this one?
Yeah, I have Crockett County in this one, even though I think Northside's a very tough team. You're exactly right. Them and JCM both have me like every week. Do I pick them? Do I not pick them? They have a ton of athletes. Crockett County had a big win against Lexington and Hardin County, which, a few years back, I would have never thought that a Crockett County team could go and beat both of those squads. The only loss was to a really good Dyer County team, which I believe Coach Weeks, you were there last week, if I heard that correct. But this is going to be an interesting one. It is in Jackson, so they will have a little bit of advantage with the hometown crew. But I'd like Crockett County in the upset.
Yeah, mentioning that Weeks, you were there at Dyer County and Northside. So speak to Northside. The next game that we'll talk about is that Dyer County. So speak about Northside and roll right into Dyer County there.
Uh, Northside Northside dominated the line of scrimmage. They were dominant offensive line and defensive line. That first of the game was 21-21 right there within the first 10 minutes of the game. But Northside just took over. They, Dyer County couldn't run the ball. They just couldn't move. And all, I mean, and and y'all have both mentioned it. I don't understand this North Side team. They, one day that they look, they're losing 20-10 against Lexington in an upset, and then now they're beating. I mean, just absolutely destroying Dyer County. And I don't know. This is the hardest game I've got. I've got Crockett County, but that means that the North Side's going to win.
And following that up, there you said about Dyer County. I think you and I both had conversations about that game previous to Northside just getting that huge win. But it was one of those things where I thought Dyer County had a lot more firepower. Now, I'm not sure that I knew about it or not, but uh, in my picks, but Dyer County didn't have their starting tailback in that game. And so, could that made a difference? I think it could have, but nonetheless, Northside's got a good team. Let's talk about that Dyer County versus South Gibson game, because Dyer County coming off of this loss against Northside, and it wasn't just a hey, it's a tough game. They one bested us on a field goal or something. This was a beatdown, and so South Gibson, boy, they've had a season so far that I didn't expect. And could they sneak up and get one on Dyer County as well, as Dyer County is just reeling in this loss against Northside? Weeks, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely they can. I mean, if I was at South Gibson Milan earlier this season, and South Gibson dominated that game. I would say 3/4 of it, and it was mildly due to their defense. And if they're going to win this, they're going to stop. They're going to have to shut down Dyer County just like Northside did. And I don't know if you were mentioning Corey, if you were talking about Corey Taylor for Dyer County, but they moved straight into getting the ball to 13, which is Anthony Barbie. And he can catch the ball anywhere on the floor or on the field, and he takes runs. He does those speed rushes from the outside. So I mean they've moved straight into him taking over the offense. Uh, this one's confusing to me too. I'm going to go with Dyer County because I think that they have to have it more. I know South Gibson's already got a loss in the region play. Dyer County's already got a loss in the region play, but if Dyer County takes a couple losses in a row, I think that they might just kind of not fall apart, but they just might just go to the wayside, and every other team in 7-4A is going to overtake them.
Yeah, what do you got on this game, Dr. Greer?
Yeah, South Gibson may be the best 2 and 3 team in the state of Tennessee. They week one they lose to Milan in a very close one. Milan was still trying to find their identity, I believe, but still they lost to a really good Milan team, and then the comeback with Southside. I am going to go with the Hornets, believe it or not. I'm going to give it to South Gibson. I think that they play tough. They always fight whenever you think they're out of a fight. They're always scratch and claw and making their way back in. So I think that they end up 3-3 after this week.
Yeah, you look at Dyer County's schedule this week against South Gibson, then Chester, the non-region game against USJ, but finishing up with Southside and Lexington, and a game not on our schedule, or excuse me, a game on our schedule is that Southside Lexington game that we'll talk about next. But you know, as you put it, Weeks, that if the psyche of Dyersburg, the locker room changes because of this loss against Northside and a potential loss against South Gibson, I could see that team potentially losing another 2 region games because Southside has got some athletes and Lexington as well. And when you got to think about those losses for a few weeks and then take on those 2 teams at the end of the season, that could be tough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I you know, I'm with you. I'm with you, Josh. Like if it's hard for me to go against South Gibson at home, especially with Cade Beaver. I mean,
Hmm.
he has been phenomenal so far this season. So it's hard for me to go against him. I'm going to. It's just I don't know. This one's hard too. These are a tough week of these are a tough week of picks.
Yeah,
Um,
great week. Yep.
but Dyer County has to win. This is, they're defending region champs. They've got to win this. If they want any chance to host a playoff game, you got to win.
Yeah, I agree with that. The next game we're looking at there is Lexington at Southside, and of course Lexington beat Northside. Crockett beat Lexington. Dyer County beat Crockett. I mean, we're looking at this Region 7 here, and it's just completely up for grabs. And I think that you could potentially see a two-loss champion coming out of that region. That would be crazy. But what do you got, Dr. Greer, on Lexington and Southside?
Lexington found their identity, I think. They're able to run the ball and control the clock. And so Coach Carr has finally figured out, hey, this is how we win in Lexington. He went back to the roots of what Lexington's known for. Um, Great guy. Love the coaching staff. I'm glad they were able to figure it out after a first year that was very tough.
Yeah, definitely. Weeks, you and I saw Southside there a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago now, and Southside still, I think, trying to find that identity and what they want to do. Last week, I watched them, as they kind of ran the ball very well, but then threw the ball exceptionally well. So it's an anomaly on what their defense is going to do. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I'm with Josh here. I think I'm going to go Lexington. I think, yeah, he's right. They found themselves after that loss to Crockett County. I think they lost by 30. It wasn't pretty, but you've beat Northside now. But we talked about must wins here. This is a must win for Southside. I
Yeah.
mean, they have to win this one. You've had great weeks back to back, or like 2 out of 3 weeks from Braden Weldon, who's been phenomenal, and then the 4 interception game last week from Melendez for Southside. Their defense has to step up here. They're going to have to figure some things out. But I mean, you've got Coach Narcisse as your coach, and he's a defensive-minded guy. If anybody can stop Lexington this week, it's them. I'm still going to go with Lexington. I think that they're going to be there right there at the end, playing for a region title.
Most definitely, they're one of those teams there in that region that can pull it out for sure. The last game in the high school ranks here that we'll talk about is Lausanne and Westview, and I've got feathers flying all over West Tennessee, over the Gridiron top 10, and Covington and Westview being 1 and 2, and where's Mumford, and I'm gonna tell you what, you got to play the game, fellas and ladies. You got to play the game. Mumford has found their way up in the top 3, but this game right here, uh, it doesn't scare me at all. Just to be honest with you, Westview I think wins this handedly. But wow, what about the Westview Chargers, Dr. Greer? You're covering them, and you're watching this on a weekly basis. You're getting a show every Friday night.
Yeah, no, this Westview team is for real. The only thing is, Lausanne is a great 1 and 2 team. They lost in a really they got their butts whipped on week 1 against Southwind. But honestly, I thought that they played a really good game against Germantown. It may have been like 38 or 36-30. It was a closer game than I would even imagine. Two 6A teams, so very large Memphis teams with a lot of talent, both undefeated. So this is not a typical 1 and 2 team. They have the number one athlete or receiver in the state of Tennessee, and maybe like the number 6 athlete in the state of Tennessee, and then 20 something in the nation for the 2027 class, Lawrence Britt. They put him at running back. They put him at receiver. They've done some things. I have my best friends on the coaching staff at Lausanne, so I can't give anything up, but I will potentially sound like Tony Romo whenever I'm calling the game. But I had to promise I wouldn't say anything until the game got started. Regardless, this Westview team is loaded with talent. It is one of the more talented teams I've ever seen, if not the most talented team I've ever seen. They've not been able to play full games. They've had a kind of a weird season because of the bye weeks and the rain out and those type of things. But you still have a Graham Simpson, a sophomore, who's throwing for 77%, who has 21 total touchdowns, who looks great. And then you have the Dantes Joys and the CD Damerons that are seniors that are doing the things they need to do to stand out. And CD Dameron had one of the greatest high school games I've ever seen, with a couple great punt returns, one for a touchdown, and then a couple of receiving touchdowns as well. And he's a great defensive back, and so he needs more love. But then you have the Asa Barnes and the Miles Browns that are lighting it up. And I think Miles, while he has a bunch of offers, heck, he could get a dozen more by the end of this season. He's a really good football player, and obviously Asa was looking like Bo Jackson last week against McNary Central. Um, Very special team. I'm excited to see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game. Not at all.
Interesting. Weeks, you and I have had this conversation. You'll be watching Westview probably the last game of the season on the sideline, and Covington versus Westview. But they got to get past a few teams before they get there. What do you think about this one?
I'm 100% with Josh here. I think it's going to be closer than anybody thinks. You have Lawrence Brett, who is like, he's the number one player in the state right now. Uh, their quarterback TJ Jenkins is I mean, he threw the ball all over Germantown, and Germantown's a top 15 team in the state, the entire state. Um, and then Jewel Rogers, who is just as good as some of these kids we've talked about for Westview. So they've had some close games. They've played the 7-6 ball game against Christian Brothers. And they got you get stomped by Southwind, but they have Kelvin Perkins, who's a Mr. Football in 6A. But I've told you, I think now 3 or 4 times that I think Westview doesn't lose a game in 3 years. But this year, or this game, is going to be close. I do think that I talked to one of the coaches for Westview about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he mentioned he mentioned the team taking a little bit, or being a little excited to play Lawrence Brett, because they felt, some of those kids felt disrespected that they weren't ranked higher than him. So, you know, I could see them playing with a little bit of motivation here, but Lausanne is a good team, and they're going to come in and they're going to play hard, and it's a chance for them to make a big upset here. So I'm still going with Westview. They're going to. I think they are going to win the game, because I think when anybody plays like Westview does, there's nobody that can beat them. But I do think it's going to be close for probably 3 quarters, and then Westview pulls away at the end.
All right. And now comes to the point where we've talked about the games that we've picked here on the show. But Weeks, what are you looking at this week as a game that could be a shocker?
JC, or no, I'm sorry, Union City at Peabody. Union City gets their quarterback back. Well, one of their quarterbacks back in Kervin Thompson. And Peabody is rolling. They have, I don't know how many points they're allowing, but it ain't much. But we talked about their schedule, because we don't know much about JCM. I mean, they are they good? I don't know. JCM has lost a lot, and their talent. They appear to have talent, but I don't get them much. But other than that, Peabody's not played much of anybody, and I think Union City is desperate for a victory. They get Kervin Thompson back. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think it's going to be close. Peabody's number 3 in the state. I think it would be a big deal for Coach Markle and his staff to go down there and shock Peabody.
Yeah. Dr. Greer, what do you think about that game?
Great game. Yeah, Union City at Peabody definitely tops on the list, something that you'll be watching to kind of figure out and seeing if Union City bounces back. This has kind of been a unique year for Union City, not something that you would typically see O'Brien County have a better record than them. Obviously, two different teams and two different opponents running up into this
Mm-hmm.
top nearly half of the year. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say, because there's such a fun one last year, JCM at Milan. I think that's going to be another fun one. I know what you're saying. I've picked every time I pick them to win, they lose. Every time I pick them to
Yeah.
lose, they win. So we'll see what happens, but I still think it's going to be a fun one in Milan. And anytime you have Pete running the ball, it's going to be difficult to lose. But
Yeah,
I still think it's going to be a fun one.
yeah. I think last year that was a 47-37 ball game at Milan in the first one, and then a 14-7 game. I called that game in the playoffs, and wow, that's crazy. And now, Weeks, you've seen Milan, I think twice maybe this year.
Yeah, twice.
S- Go ahead.
Man, Jaden is unbelievable. But like I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know what to do with JC. I mean, I'm gonna sit here and say that Milan wins by 3 touchdowns, but we'll be sitting here looking at that on Saturday morning, and it's a close game in the fourth quarter. You never know with JCM, and plus Coach Turner is a hell of a coach, and he can do pretty much anything. So I mean, I don't know. It's so crazy how these teams go from one year to year. They don't lose a ton, but you look at the roster and you think, man, that team's going to compete for a region title, and then now they're sitting down here playing for a playoff spot. That they're in a must win every single week.
Yeah, I think this is a must win for JCM. They've got to have this game because the morale of that team, while I think Coach Turner will try to keep it together the best they can in the locker room, morale of that team from what they did last year could take a real nosedive here quick. And so, we'll talk with him on Saturday, but he's always upbeat. And, I think he's going to lead his team into a tough game, but too much Pete in the end. Hey, let's do a 5-minute blitz on some college games here, and Tennessee taking on Mississippi State. Mississippi State 4-0, and I mean just say this right here: Mississippi State it's at home, and does Mississippi State have the number for Tennessee this weekend? Dr. Greer, what do you think?
No, but it is going to be a lot closer. If we didn't have Joey Aguilar, if we didn't already go against Georgia, then I would be nervous. They did take care of Arizona State, who was ranked 12 at the time. But in short, I think Tennessee gets it done. I think Joey throws for 300 yards. The Bulldogs have looked impressive. I mean, they are 4-0. They have a big time win. But we've already had that SEC competition, and I believe that gives us an edge. I think all three running backs have a big night. The only thing that scares me for Tennessee, in all honesty, is our number 4. I can't think of his name, but our freshman cornerback. He sometimes they put him on an island, and every time he does, you can tell he gets burnt. And so that's the only thing that scares me. But no, I think Tennessee gets it done. They may have a headache the next day from all the bells ringing, but I think Tennessee gets the victory.
Do you think that Tennessee might be reeling though from that Georgia game? I think the missed kick and just the way that played out, they should have beat Georgia handedly. I'm just going to be honest with you. I thought I picked Tennessee to win by
After
10.
the first, yeah.
And so, but do you think that they're reeling in this game? Do you think Mississippi State could just sneak up?
If they do, then this team is not as good as I thought, to be honest. But it could happen. This is the SEC. Arkansas beat us. I drove all the way down to Arkansas to watch that Tennessee game last year, and I left probably as upset as I've ever been in a ball game. But Mississippi State has played well, and I will say that I think that they'll be okay in this one. That Georgia game is like a monkey on the shoulder, kind of like a couple years ago with Tennessee going down to Florida. Tennessee should have won that game. Some reason we had that monkey on our shoulder that we can't get off, and Georgia's that test. And so hopefully we can get over that hump. It's been 10 years now. But that kicker was a Lausanne kicker, by the way. Max Gilbert played for Lausanne. My buddy actually talked him into playing football. He was outside kicking a kickball at recess in 8th grade, and he said, "Hey, come here. You need to be my kicker." And literally got a full ride scholarship to go kick. That kid's a unique kid. I don't think he listens to the outside voices. He can go miss a kick and then hit a 50-yarder the next one. You never can tell. It's like playing Yahtzee.
Yeah. Weeks, what do you got on this game?
I'll be there. I'm every time I go to a game, I get that
Yeah.
nervousness. I, I, you mentioned you mentioned that hangover there from the Georgia game. I think if that would have been the next week, if this game would have been the next week instead of UAB, we could talk about that. But I think they came out and they went on. They scored 28 points. It was 28-0 before we even blinked last week. So um, I think they're going to win. I think that Mississippi State has a shot of covering. I mean, I think they're 10.5 point favorites, or Tennessee's a 10.5 point favorite. I think that's a big deal. One of my best friends is a massive Mississippi State fan. I'm going with a Mississippi State fan. They all have literally told me they're putting money on the spread, but they think Tennessee's going to win, and I'm not going to argue with them. Um, but I think the difference is Tennessee has Joey Aguilar and Mississippi State does not. And he has not had a game in his entire career where he's thrown under 200 yards. I just think he's we as a Tennessee fan, I think we kind of just lucked out. I think we looked into a better position at quarterback, and at Tennessee now we don't you lose a running back like Dylan Sampson and you replace him with Star Thomas, and they've been great. So, I'm with Josh with with I think it's Ty Redmond who was talking about at corner.
Yeah.
But I do think on the other side with Colton Hood, who might be an All American one day. I think that they're going to be fine. They're going to attack Redmond, but I think he's going to grow up soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Hey, let's.
sure. And if you don't mind, go ahead. Sorry, sir.
No, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, it's dropped all the way to 7.5 point spread. By the way, it was 10.5, and then it went 8.5, and now it's 7.5. So
Take
the
the
spread's
Vols.
yeah, yeah,
Hey, I mean, talking about beating an SEC team, we got to show some love to Memphis here in Tennessee because I don't care who's coaching Memphis. It just seems like they go out and win ball games. Like they go 10-2 or 9-4 or whatever it is every year. And if you want to put your money on a team that's going to win some games, it seems like Memphis is always winning a bunch of games every year. I think they go down to Florida Atlantic and just kind of beat the dog snot out of them. But Memphis, wow. What do you think, fellas? Go ahead, Weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Memphis, and I think they're gonna cover the spread. They're 13.5 point favorites on the road. I think they go out and win probably about 3 touchdowns. Brandon Lewis goes for 300 all-purpose yards last week against Arkansas with 3 touchdowns. And then you have Sutton Smith who carried the ball for 100 or had 147 yards and a touchdown. So I mean, they're able to do anything on some of these teams. I know it's hard to win on the road, but give me Ryan Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah. What do you think, Dr. Greer?
yeah. Memphis wins this one, but us all sweeping it. Memphis always has a game that they let you down, and I pray it's not this one. But I don't think it's going to be this one.
Yeah.
They're too talented to go there and lose against this Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, I think if it might have been anybody else other than Florida Atlantic, this would be an
Yeah.
upset in the potential. But yeah, I don't think so. Let's turn our attention to the woeful Titans right now. Wow, I kind of thought maybe they're going to be a little different, but they're not. They're exactly what I knew they were going to be, and the hype on Cam was just not what it. Of course, he's a rookie quarterback, but the hype's not there, and or the play that backs up the hype is not there. But we do have some West Tennessee news, and that is that head coach Brian Callahan is going to hand off his play calling this week, and is going to hand it off to a West Tennessee guy in Bo Hardegree. So we got a big shout out there to Bo Hardegree. Congratulations, man. And Dr. Gray, I'm going to let you start with this one because you made a very good comment about this, and you actually follow the Titans there quite a bit, and so you made a very good comment about Bo Hardegree taking over the calls this week.
Yeah, no, very excited about Bo Hardegree and being a JCM alumni, I believe, and I think last year they put him into the Hall as well. So really excited to see a West Tennessee guy. We're always supporting our West Tennessee folks, but the way things are going, Brian Callahan, uh, he's a couple plays away, a couple games away, maybe a couple hours away from being the interim head coach as well. So that would be exciting to see. He's had some opportunities to call plays for Oakland with a rookie quarterback, Aiden. I can't think of his last name. If you remember, you can let me know. But
O'Connell.
yeah, O'Connell. Yep, Aiden O'Connell looked like the guy from Super Troopers, and so regardless, no, he's had some opportunities to call some plays in the past, and he's done a really good job with a young quarterback. So I'm excited to see him. This week we give up Jarvis Brownlee for and a seventh round draft pick for a sixth round draft pick. So I knew then something's up. I don't know what's going on in our locker room, but there must be some turmoil. I actually do not have anything negative to say about Cam Ward as of yet. He threw a bad pick at the beginning of the game in a cover two that he did not see the corner come and shoot up. He floated it out there. Guess what? Those are mistakes. The
Oh
very
yeah.
first in 1998, I was going to buy with my Christmas money a Peyton Manning jersey. Even though I don't like the Colts, it was 1998. I'm all in for Tennessee. So I'm going to buy the jersey. Monday Night Football came around and Peyton Manning threw 4 picks against the New England Patriots. What did I do? I bought Randy Moss. Randy Moss ended up being a Hall of Famer. I got lucky with that one, but I was like, I'm not buying Peyton Manning. He's gonna be terrible. He's gonna be like East Schuler, etc. But I was wrong. Obviously, I was in like eighth, ninth grade. But regardless, it's hard to tell with a rookie quarterback. I think he has the mental makeup to be okay. But we have too many gaps. The only thing that helps us out, you have a new GM who will have over $100 million next year to spend. You have an O line who's solid. You have one person that's a little bit older, the guard that came from the Lions. So everyone else is around 30 or under 30. Um, Peter graded out like a 92% PFF score at left guard. So you're doing the right things. We don't have that bell cow running back right now. Even though I love our guy and he's a West Tennessee guy, went to high school, college, and everything. But at the end of the day, we need a bell cow running back. We need receivers not to drop the ball, and
Ball.
yeah, just catch the ball. Just it's there, catch it. It's your friend. But at the end of the day, Tennessee will be okay. It just won't be this year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Weeks, what do you got on this game?
We talk about Bo. Let's. I found a tweet today from Justin Graver from Titans Film Room. Bo Hardegree took over in 2023 after Josh McDaniels was fired ahead of a Week 9 game. In that game, that he took over, they beat the Giants 30-6, and then a few weeks later, he dropped 63 points against the Chargers. And when before the points per game was 15, and then after he took over play calling, it was at 23, and his yards per game went up almost 40 yards per game. I'm not saying that's going to be the case here, but I mean, if Tennessee just catches the ball, we've already got to win. You beat the Broncos if you just catch the ball.
Right.
It's Cam's going to make rookie mistakes like we've mentioned, but he has. You can see it. You can see the potential. You can see. I'm not saying greatness, but you can see that he's got it, and it's just. I don't think that Callahan's going to be the guy. He's not going to be the one coaching him long term. So I was ready for him to just go ahead and get rid of him, so we could start fresh. You know,
Mhm.
Go ahead and find somebody else. And I love the fact that we're giving Bo Hardegree a chance. I remember watching him play in high school. I was probably a little bit younger, but I remember watching him play, and it's really cool for him to be the play caller for us right now. And I do think that the play calling is going to get better. Um, but if this team's going to win, you've got to have a pass rusher outside of Jeff Simmons. I know you're missing Sweat, but you got to figure something out there. And it doesn't help that your right tackle J.C. Latham has been out, and you're just filling in people.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Tony Pollard, who I think has done fine. Tony
Yeah.
Pollard's done great for what he does. But you're
Yeah.
right, we got to find a wide receiver or a running back who can just carry the load. And I think Tony Pollard's a better third down back, especially at his age right now.
Yeah. I agree with Tony Pollard being a great third down back. Last week, he only averaged 2.6 yards a carry. That's kind of what I was talking about. We need someone who can be the bell cow. Super athletic, super great guy. I've heard nothing but positive things about him in and around the locker room and the city as well. But it will be interesting to kind of see how this season unfolds. Typically, if you're this bad this early, you start seeing beat downs. And the Texans are 0-3 as well, but they're a better 0-3. They have some potential. They have an elite quarterback. Their offensive line's bad, but I literally put Texas has poor O line, but Tennessee can't pass rush. So it doesn't matter. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we'll
Yeah.
see. If we get a sack, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I don't disagree with either of the comments you guys made, and I just think that right now there's, as you stated, Dr. Weeks there, that or Dr. Weeks, Dr. Greer, that it's too many holes to fill all across the board for Tennessee, and you can't just go out and get one guy and say, hey, we're going to start winning ball games. It's just not possible. But hey, you know what? That's why we play the game. You never know how it's going to end up. And so we talked a lot about some high school football early in the show, and some really great games coming up this week. That Westview game is going to be, I think, a really good game. Milan's going to be a really good game against JCM, but I'm looking forward to this Crockett County and Northside game as well. I'm going out on a limb. I'm picking Northside there, so they're probably going to lose, but because I picked them. Sorry, Coach. I mean, that's just what you've done when I pick. So I try to just be neutral in that one, but it is what it is. Guys, thanks for coming in tonight, and you can catch the real weeks on the Gridiron Blitz. Check him out on all of his socials, and Dr. Greer, Dr. Josh Greer from Nelvana Sports, and check him out there as well as his socials there. I'm the coach, Coach TS. And you can catch me on Sports Talk Live each and every weekend right here in West Tennessee, bringing you all the high school recaps in action, as well as maybe these guys as well on that show from time to time. So, hey, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. The 50-yard line, it's the latest edition of the Tennessee football preview, and we'll be bringing this to you each and every week. Catch us next week on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see what day we get to put it out. And you guys have a great night.